Okay. Once you've done that, you're ready to start your direct observation. Okay. And to do that, what you'll do is basically the first thing you're going to enter is the location that the nurse is in right now. So when you're asking these questions, you're going to start this. So you'll enter the location the nurse is at. You'll probably be asking these questions in the nursing station. Typically, that's where you are. So I'm going to start this training in the nursing station. So I'm going to click nursing station. And now once I've clicked nursing station, the next thing is that I have my activity screen that's come up. And the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to charge this time, the existing time that we have, to answer survey questions. Okay. And I can find that answer survey questions on screen 2, and it's under the D column for waste other. So I'm going to go ahead and select answer survey questions. That charges all the time that I was answering the survey or doing the survey questions to this bucket. Okay. Now, the key to using this tool is that you only have to enter an activity once that activity is completed. All right. And the reason that that's important is because sometimes you don't know what the nurse is going to do next. All right. So it's really hard to start a timer on an activity that you don't know what that activity is yet. So what we do here with this tool is we automatically start the timer once you enter a key. We automatically start the timer for the next event. So you don't have to actually start the timer. All right. So in this case, we charge this time to the answer survey key, and now the timer gets started again for the next event, and we can kind of watch what the nurse does. All right. Let's assume that the nurse goes from our question mark, and they go and sit down in a chair, and they begin doing some documentation, and they're actually in the patient record, and they're entering some basic information in the patient record. In this case, they're entering a vital signs event that they did. So we're going to observe that, and when they're complete with that vital signs event and they've finished the documentation, we're going to go ahead and click that bucket that charges the time into this doc vital signs event, and it restarts the timer for us automatically for the next event. And we're going to assume that they go from this doc vital signs event, and that they go from there to let's assume that they actually go from there and they end up talking to a caregiver that's in the nursing station. And in this conversation, we're going to assume that this is a doctor, and they're talking to the doctor in the nursing station about this patient. And so we're going to observe that. And when that activity is done, we're going to click the physician communication button. Okay, that charges that time into that physician communication button. Okay, at this point in time, the nurse is going to leave the nursing station and walk into a patient room. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and record that. To do that, you're going to need to jump to the location screen. All right, now you're actually going to do this as soon as you observe the nurse get up and walk out of the nursing station. You're going to come down here, and you're going to click on this key right here. This is the key that takes you back to the location screen. All right. And you're going to observe the nurse, and you can't enter anything in here until you wait until the nurse walks into the next location. So you're going to observe the nurse. As soon as the nurse enters the patient room, you're going to click the patient room screen. Okay. And then you're going to charge that time to walking. Okay, so you'll click that time and you'll charge that time to walking. Okay, let's say that the nurse goes into the patient room screen and begins talking to the patient. Okay, and so they're talking to the patient, and you're observing that, and they're basically soliciting information from the patient, asking them how they're doing, just basically soliciting information. You're going to observe that, and when they're done with that, you're going to go ahead and select soliciting information. That charges that time into this bucket, and it restarts the timer automatically. From there, you're going to watch what the nurse is doing, and let's say that the nurse goes from doing this soliciting information to doing an IV care assessment. So they go and look at the IV and they begin doing an assessment on the IV. You're going to watch that. And as that, once the nurse completes that IV care assessment, you're going to go ahead and click on that activity, which charges that time into this activity, and it starts the timer on the next event. You'll never know what the next thing is that the nurse is going to do, okay? So that's the thing. Don't try and second guess by entering information in here. So let's say that you watch the nurse and they go from doing an IV care assessment to actually moving the nurse, actually turning the nurse in their bed. Okay, so you're going to watch that, and when that happens, you're going to click this turning position. Okay, now what I'd like to do is demo the correction key real quick. The correction key is this key right here. Let's assume that you wanted to record this turning position, but instead you accidentally clicked change linens. Okay, and when you do that, what you'll need to do is do a correction. To do a correction, you'll hit this X key right here. That X will allow you to delete this timestamp. It'll allow you to delete this activity. Now, you can delete the activity and delete the timestamp along with it, or you can keep the timestamp, which means that the activity occurred, needs to be logged when you touched it, but you only want to change the keys that you selected. So in this case, we're going to say RN is required to do this turning. Okay. So this is basically the methodology that we're using here. All right. So we're only recording an activity when it occurs. We can correct a key by hitting this correction key. When we do, it takes us back to the location screen or to the beginning, and we have to re-enter the activity from the beginning to the end.